Hey y'all, happy Monday. I've got a question for you. See what you think about it. First of all, I'm up here in one of my favorite places, the old pear orchard on this old place, looking over a saturated pasture. Good news is this time it didn't wash away because we didn't have it all tilled up, just the important parts. Now, this is a question that was posed by a young man by the name of Koval. He was born, probably an hour and a couple of clicks east of the Texas Panhandle, there in western central Oklahoma. He came up with it after a quote that was shared with him, or a statement made by Clint Eastwood, of all people, at a charity golf tournament, coupled with a story told to him by his grandmother. He made it famous a few years back by putting a little music to it. Question is, my sister Ashley asked me this the other day in remembrance of it, how old would you be if you didn't know when you were born? How old do you feel? It's a pretty good question. I'd like to think I'm about 30. My dad went a little bit over his age. I guess that happens. No, he had a brother and sister and a wife of many years, and they'll lay him to rest a few more days in the month. But the world knew him as Toby Keith, and the song was "Don't Let the Old Man In." My sister texted me that the other day and really got me to thinking about it. I had kind of a wild weekend, probably a lot of new eyes on here today. Got mixed emotions about it. It's just a simple farm here in Nacogdoches, Texas. For those far and wide, it's the oldest town in Texas. A lot of controversy about how to say that word if you're reading it. The story goes that a husband and wife was traveling through and saw the sign coming up and was arguing about how to pronounce it. Well, they argued all the way from Lufkin to Nacogdoches. That's about 30 miles. Finally got worn out and they couldn't agree and pulled over in the middle of town to get them a bite to eat and cool off the argument. So they walked into the place, and the husband was feeling salty, and he asked the clerk behind the counter, he said, "Will you settle an argument for my wife and I, since you're from here?" He said, "Well, yeah, I guess so." He said, "How do you pronounce the name of this place we're in?" Old clerk kind of looked confused and thought about it a minute. He said, "What a burger." So it's just a town that I call home. And over the weekend, I say I got mixed emotions. One of our little stories that we share, and we've been doing this 4 or 5 years, got kind of a family of friends and followers that we visit with about farm life and goats and chickens again coming up. But something kind of went crazy on Facebook, and one of the little old stories took off, I guess, as that does. And I've got a love-hate relationship with social media. But it was a good message, and glad it resonated and made some folks think about things. But what made me sad about it was that it's so uncommon. Just the common. I'd commented it to our subscribers on that feed. Of course, we've got a subscriber feed where we do these little live walks and talks here from the farm and share a few stories and a little progress about what's going on. But more the inside daily life. We do a couple of videos a day. We got chickens hatching and dogs are barking and things of that nature. But what really made me think was how the commonality of it, seems to be so rare in our world today. A lot of us crave it, just want a simple life, not to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of the bills and the cars and the homes, but we find ourselves trapped in that gerbil wheel, if you will. I said, a candle, it really shines brighter in the dark of midnight, just a single candle. So I guess that's what we can do. My biggest lament is that I just don't like that it's midnight these days. if something this simple is going to be that bright. But we walk on and we do what we can, and we're all in this together, and we lift each other up, don't we? In spite of the madness. I'll tell you, not to throw accolades to me at all, but I tried something this afternoon on my way home, stopped at Dollar General, and I think picked up a gallon of milk and some other goods. But I'd read somewhere about, we hear about pay it forward, do this, do that, make somebody smile. And I thought I'd give it a shot. So y'all might try this. It was pretty neat. Of course, those poor Dollar General workers are, if y'all have ever been in one, y'all know they are stretched out. They're stocking and trying to check people out and can't be getting paid a whole lot. But I went to the counter and I acted indecisive about a candy bar. Now, I don't really eat sweets. Ice cream, yeah, I'm there. But candy bars, whatever. But I'm standing there, and I said, I'm going to try this. I'd seen somebody else do it, so I thought I'd give it a shot. I'm thinking, well, it's a couple of bucks. So I asked the young man, I said, man, I'm having a hard time deciding which candy bar to get. What's your favorite? He said, well, I like white chocolate Reese's, but I don't think there's any of those over there. But you can't go wrong with Reese's. I said, that's a good choice. So I picked it up and paid for it, bagged up all my stuff and was about to leave. And he said, don't forget your Reese's. I said, oh, no, that's not mine. That's for you. Have a good day. Man, you'd thought I gave that kid $1 million. So it made me feel good. Y'all might try that. That was pretty neat, right? So made somebody smile for next to nothing. So thought that was good. I started, Monday's a little softer day for us. I like to got stuck in a pasture going out to clean the pool this afternoon. Good thing I was on a hill. I just put it in reverse and rolled back to the road. Thought I was going to be in a mess, but I got out of it. But I had a little time, and years past, I've had up to 100 chickens in this chicken house, but life and certain situations have took me other directions for the last year or so. We're getting back to it. And I just didn't even want to look in this chicken house because it was full of life. And of course, the subscribers know I shared it earlier. We talked about it. But, of course, storms have come and gone and knocked a few things down. Lumber on the ground, feeders everywhere. Well, I got busy this afternoon. Didn't take me that long. And I'm a fan of just starting. So still got a long way to go, but man, I'm already proud of it. And ready to get these babies hatched and grown and out here by spring, right? But speaking of things that, I think are just common knowledge every day that seem to resonate, reminds me of the story of the Old West Fort. The general was about to be besieged, and word was there's a lot of Indians coming to attack the fort. So he called out his trusted Indian scout, Running Bear. He said, Running Bear, I need all the skill you've got and all the learning you have. I need you to listen to the ground and tell me how big of a problem and how big of an army is about to hit this fort. Running Bear said, yes, sir, I'll do it. So Running Bear put his ear to the ground, listened intently, kind of frowned. He said, heap many. 300 warriors, 4 Indian chiefs, 2 on Palominos, 2 on Black Stallions. Ooh, many guns. Oh, and they had the medicine man with them. The general couldn't believe it. He said, good night. You got all of that from listening to the ground? Running Bear said, no, sir, I can see under the gate. So he was sitting there looking at it. So that's sometimes how I feel about it. It's like this is just simple country life and farming, and a lot of us doing it. A lot of us wish we were doing it, but you just got to starting sometimes, right? And you got to keep it real, keep it honest, because you try to pull a wool on something or get fancy, well, people see right through it. At least I do, and I imagine y'all do too. A couple old boys were going to University of Alabama. They was in the final years. I think they was juniors. Had a chemistry test coming up for their chemistry, and it was on a Monday. Well, they were feeling pretty salty and felt like they was good and had enough knowledge to pass that test. So they rolled up to the University of Tennessee to get with some buddies, and they partied all weekend. Well, you know how that story goes. They overslept that Monday, got back late to campus, and really didn't want to take that test because they hadn't studied. Plus, we're a little hungover. So they waited till after class, and they went to the professor and said, "Look, sir, so sorry we didn't make it back. We went up to the University of Tennessee, and we were coming back in time to study, but we had a flat tire, no spare, couldn't get signal, and it just took us forever. We just got back home today. Is there any way we can retake this test?" The professor thought about it a minute. He said, "You know what? I'm going to let y'all retake the test tomorrow." Man, they thought they'd got away with something. They went home, studied all night, and were ready for this test the next morning. So they walked into the classroom, and the professor said, "Okay, y'all ready?" They said, "Yes, sir, we're ready." Well, he sat them in 2 different rooms, separate from one another, and gave them their test. They opened it to the first question. Pretty easy, worth 5 points. They answered it with no problem, both of them feeling confident. "Now, we got this in the bag." They turned the page to the second question. It was worth 95 points, and it was just 2 words with a question mark. Which tire? So it's good to be truthful, isn't it? Something tell them that one of them or both of them, both of them. They didn't pass that one. Well, hey, y'all sound off where you're at. We'll do a quick roll call. It's funny what a difference a few days will make here in Texas. I was in shorts and short sleeves Friday, and now we're in the 30s, or headed to the 30s this evening. That's how it rolls. We still got a little bit more cold before spring totally gets here, but we got our first break-in on my rose, and we'll be getting that dressed up. Believe me, I got plenty of plants in there. I think I've been repotting in that rain yesterday. Lord, the more I repot, the more it seems like I've got. But that's how it goes. Hey, thank y'all for all the support, and if you're curious about that subscriber feature, I think you'll enjoy it. Get a lot of good feedback on it. It's a little expensive. It's $1 a month, but you have to put value on something, I guess. That's the only way. I wish I could just give it away, but I don't know. I guess I could. But Facebook won't let me do it. But y'all be the light and be good. And let's make the simple things common again. That's how we grew up, wasn't it? All right, let me check off, see who all's on here, and we're going to call it a night. Go back up through here. Let's see. Who we got on this evening? I see lots of folks. I don't sound off unless you do. There's my buddy Phelps. In spite of the madness. That's right. Well, goodness. Thank you. Glad to make you smile. Y'all do the same for me. Let's see who else is on here real quick. My hands get a little cold. There's Miss Heidi over, I guess, at the other side of Nacogdoches. I get directionally challenged sometimes. But, yep, one thing at a time. Sure is. Thank you, Heidi, for checking in. There's Tracy. How are you? When you starting early planting? Well, I'm going to nothing's going to happen out here until probably February 24th or around that time. That's when I'll put the potatoes in. Now, I started all my tomato and pepper plants in the house back in December. The year I had that really pretty garden, that's when I had done it, so I'm replicating that this year. So I've got tomato plants and pepper plants of all kinds in there. They're about yay tall. Where's my camera? There it is. They're about that big. They're doing good and healthy. Had a few challenges with some of them being overwatered, but we fixed that. But you can keep up with all that progress on the subscriber channel. But always ask, I'll be glad to tell you. Got my marigolds up. They're about 6 inches high. I'm doing something a little different this year. Mom, of course, she passed in 2019, for those that are new to the story. That's kind of what brought me back to Nacogdoches. But she always loved red geraniums. And I had one on the porch there for a while. Of course, it died, as they do, especially when you don't take care of it. But I was going to get one again this year. I'm like, you know what? I love growing things from seeds and seeing it happen. I've never done it before. So I got some geranium seeds and just sowed those yesterday in there. So we'll see how that works out. Got a couple different varieties. I did the red, and then I found one that's white with like a pink inside, and it's called Apple Blossom. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll see. But they're good for the front porch and keeping a few little old pests away and things of that nature. So as far as planting out here, February 24th, I'll put the potatoes in. And then our frost line down here is around the end of March. So won't be really putting anything out besides potatoes until then. But April, first week of April is going to be pretty busy around here. Thank you for that question. Let's see who else. Maurice James Foster checking in from Maryland. See, I got it right that time. There's Kenneth checking in. How are you, buddy? Pat says she feels 5 years old. I think that's what she's saying. If she didn't know when she was born, she feels 5. Yes, ma'am, I enjoyed it. That's my aunt way up there on the eastern seaboard. Eastern seaboard. I got tickled. I actually shared a poll question on my personal profile about, was everybody planting potatoes on Valentine's Day, which is a tradition kind of around here, or were they watching the moon? Now, I do follow the moon somewhat for planting, mainly on potatoes, just always have. Well, the moon cycle isn't right for the 14th this year, plus we're pretty wet. So it's better later in the month, so I'm going to wait later in the month. But I shared that poll into a huge farm life type group. I think it's got 80,000 members. And I forgot to read the room. So here a Texas guy, Southeast Texas at that, is sharing something about February planting to people up in North Dakota and Michigan. And they thought I had lost my mind. They said, potatoes in February, we don't even get the snow melted till April or May. I'm like, oops, I guess I shouldn't have asked that question without a little bit of context, but it's all right. They got a good laugh out of it. There's Philip Rung from Southern Illinois. If it's the Philip I'm thinking of, it's an old buddy of mine from back in my Conroe days when I was coming up through high school and living in Huntsville. If that's you, howdy, buddy. Good memories there. If not, howdy anyway, from Southern Illinois. There's Maria checking in from California. Thank you, Tracy. Hope that answered your question. Maria got a purple geranium snagged from a restaurant in Monterey. You know what? Maria is one of our regular followers. I love watching her post. She's a brilliant artist. She paints on rocks, believe it or not. You know, the little rocks you see around town. I'm not talking about some doodles. This is artwork. It's good-looking stuff. But what I really like is out there in California, I guess everything grows well, oranges and citrus. So she'll take seeds from oranges and just scatter them around town. You know, like in the right-of-ways and places that a tree wouldn't obstruct. But it grows, it produces fruit, and a lot of the homeless folks or anybody walking along, there's fruit. I thought it was pretty cool. So she's a big, I don't know that it's botanist, but she loves to plant and propagate and stuff like that. That's cool. So anyway, just wanted to say that. And she watches from work, but her boss can't know, so don't say anything, right, if you know. Tracy's up in Indiana, she says, so she won't plant for a while. I guess not. There's going to be another pretty good little cold spell coming where we'll probably be 15, 20 degrees below normal, but not this far south, I don't believe. It's going to be up in that area, though. Probably some more snowfall here toward the end of the month, but maybe y'all will get some blooms of spring and some robin redbreast and cardinals chirping before too long. My old Katavi tree gave up on that last rain. Show you all this as I'm wrapping it up. Look at that. It said, I'm done. All that rain just saturated, and it already had a little lean to it, and it just kind of gently laid itself down. So we got that cleaned up, but we'll get it done right on. Well, thank y'all, all the new folks watching. Good to have you along. And we don't have to act our age, do we? We really don't remember when we were born. I mean, none of us had memory then. We just have to go off what folks told us. Pretty good point. Y'all have a good evening. Be the light. Talk to you later.